there's one more topic that I want to discuss. I had to make sure we discuss this before time run out because we know we had a debate last week because I was an Eagles fan.
Okay.
Did the 49ers expose the Eagles in the blowout win? And cousin, once again, the mic is yours. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna relax and I'm gonna respond.
Of course they did not. Because then everybody will be exposed the entire NFL. San Francisco lost 3 games in a row. Did they get exposed? Okay. Dallas got blown out. They exposed. Detroit lost. They exposed. Kansas City lost. Did they get exposed? This is the NFL. People get blown out. Michael Jordan got blown out. Tom Brady got blown out. Did he get exposed? This makes no sense. This is ridiculous. You get judged by your resume, bro. That's why we play. That's why you keep record. That's why you keep score. How the heck somebody can get exposed? That's the disrespect that I was talking about on the debate last week. You can't be 10-1 2 years in a row and then come up here and say fraudulent or exposed. That makes no sense. You don't win more than you lose and then you expose. That makes absolutely no sense. Every team, and I question every team, and I mean every great team, the 85 Bears, what people consider the greatest team of all time, got blown out on Monday Night Football in week 13. What are we really talking about? I watched it. I have to. I seen it happen. They was 12-0, got blown out by Dan Marino, Miami Dolphins. Blown out. Did they get exposed? No, they won the Super Bowl that year. That makes no sense to me. The San Francisco 49ers, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice in their prime, they got blown out by Green Bay. Don Mikowski. Did they get exposed? No, they didn't get exposed. The New York Giants, 1990, they played San Francisco 49ers on Monday night. Both teams was 10-1. They lose. Did they get exposed? No, they went to Candlestick Park that same year and beat San Fran. Do you understand what I'm saying? It makes no sense. And that's what the problem is with today's world. With all of this information, everybody's on the now. Oh, they lost. They got to be grabbed. Oh, they don't. No, relax, please, be easy. I watched sports for over 50 years. What are we talking about? You got to know sports, know the historical part of sports, know how competition works. Play a sport for yourself. Some days you don't have your game. You think Jordan's supposed to lose to a lower player? No, sometimes he wasn't on his game. You think LeBron James supposed to lose to X, Y, and Z? No, he just wasn't having his game that day. That happened in professional sports, the historic part of professional sports. So every single team have gotten a bad loss. It happened all throughout the wazoo. But when you look at resume, that's what's supposed to matter. I'm not going to herb San Francisco if they was 15-1, or the 85 Bears if they was 15-1, or the New York Giants that was 13-3. No, they didn't get exposed. They actually won a championship. Okay? Or even the Buffalo Bills that went to 4 straight Super Bowls. They never got exposed. That's a great football team right there. They just couldn't win the big one. Now, you can say they choke under the big lights. I can take the word choke because the word choke means the moment. Exposed means you're fraudulent. There is no fraudulent here, okay? Choking, yes, LeBron James choked. I'm sorry, he's not a fraud. LeBron James is not a fraud. He choked against Dallas, but he's not a fraud. You kidding me? He's not fake. No, I know what he did. I see what he did. I know what he's capable of. I watched it. I watched it over and over and over again. When I watch something over and over and over again, I say that's not a fraud because he did it. The Philadelphia Eagles in the last 22 regular season games with 20-3. Well, 22 with 20. No, I'm sorry. In the last 21 regular season, or 23 regular season games with 20-3. 20-3. Are you kidding me? That makes no sense to anybody that want to come up here today or yesterday or tomorrow for that matter and use the word fraudulent, fraud, exposed. They don't know the history of sports. They don't know sports. They don't know competition. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand professionalism. They don't understand that some team can have it that day, some team can have it this day. I watch the Tennessee Titans. I'm just giving you historical moments. The Tennessee Titans, okay, lose 2 times in their division and then come back in the playoffs and beat that team. Like, these things happens all the time, okay? The New York Knicks beat the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls 4 times in the regular season and then lost in the playoffs. It means absolutely nothing. Like, what are we really talking about? Okay, it's ridiculous that we even have this question, cousin. Okay, this question shouldn't be a question because in today's world, y'all just hype on everything that happened right now in your face. Okay, you said I think it was 5 weeks ago, me was having a discussion on this show, and I mentioned the Detroit Lions was a bad team, and we going back and forth, and I said San Fran, Eagles, or Dallas can beat you. You said, who, San Fran? The team that just was 3 in a row? You better keep watching football. I'm saying, yeah, but they're still a good football team. I know they are. Now we back here today talking about San Fran now as, oh, wow, they're the best football team in the NFL. This is what I'm talking about. Stop hyping on the now. Go with resume. Go with, like you said, I said, go with it. Okay,
I'm glad you brought that up.
No,
I'm
okay.
glad you brought that up.
So what? So what? So the Eagles won close games. So last year we was blowing people out.
I'm
So
glad you
it
brought
makes
that up.
no sense. Y'all not making any sense. The end of the day, professional sports is who got the most points. Style points mean nothing to me. Style points mean nothing to me. The 85 Bears was winning close games. Are you kidding me? Their offense was ugly. They won a championship, one of the greatest teams of all time. Style points means absolutely nothing. It's utterly ridiculous. What the heck are we talking about? The Kansas City Chiefs right now don't look all that great. Okay, that makes no sense to none of y'all. So no disrespect to y'all who want to come up here and use the word fraudulent, who want to use the word exposed. Y'all don't know nothing about sports because y'all don't know nothing about competition. Y'all don't know the history of sports and need to study history a little bit more. And if y'all need a football encyclopedia, I got those. Okay, I'll give you those. I'll let y'all borrow those, and y'all need to follow the history of this game. There's no exposed to any professional football team winning 20 out of 23 games. Okay,
Right.
Zero exposure.
All right, cuz I'll let you go on a rant there. I'll let you do your thing. I didn't interrupt you one time. I just hope you reciprocate that when I'm about to go on my flow. Okay, because yes, I'm gonna answer the question. Absolutely, the Eagles got exposed. You know.
Say that.
Now, one thing is for certain, right? We do have to define exposed because your definition is clearly not mine. When you talk about exposed, you said fraudulent.
You need to Google the definition and read it first.
Listen, maybe I'm not having the right definition, but I can only go with my definition, right?
What we need to do to have this debate, read the definition, and then we have the debate. Unless use a different word.
Look, when you talk about exposed, and this is what I deem to be exposed. If we want to look at the definition at the end of this take, I'm not about to, stunt my take. We'll address that after. But as of right now, okay, my definition of exposed is that teams found something that they can beat you with. They found the blueprint that they can win in ways that the team that just exposed you did. That's what I define exposed. Now, if that's not the definition, then maybe I'm under a rock. Maybe I live with wolves, and I don't live with human beings. You know what I'm saying? So maybe we'll check that out at the end, right? We'll do a little definition, check right there. So that's what I determine what exposed means. And I saw that. I saw the Eagles, the 49ers leave a blueprint on how to beat the Eagles. Now, it's one thing to have a blueprint. It's another thing to exercise that blueprint, right? But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist ways to beat this Eagles team because I've seen it. And I've seen it for, a couple weeks now with the 49ers, obviously, being able to capitalize on that. Now, we'll get there in a minute. Now, I do want to say this, though. Okay? That term, I forgot who it was. I kind of know the guy. I think it was Herm Edwards. You are what your record says you are, Herm Edwards?
No, that's Bill Parcells.
Bill Parcells, right. I get them mixed up. They all went viral for statements. All right, Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are. I think that has done harm to the way we look at the game in so many ways. I think it's done a disservice to the game in general because now everybody looks at the game in a black and white perspective. Okay, we don't factor eye test, we don't factor substance, we don't factor context. It's like, all right, you won, so guess what? You gotta be it because you won. Yeah, I passed an exam, but that didn't mean I didn't cheat. You know what I'm saying? I passed the exam, but that don't mean I ain't cheat. Right? Okay, black and white. I get it. However, when you look at the Eagles, right, they never look like a one-loss team to me. They just never did, and that's my eyes. You can't speak for my eyes. I can tell you what I see. You can't tell me what I see. What I saw was that's not a one-loss team. I looked at everything. I looked at the content. How are they winning games? Yes, they're winning games. Congratulations. That's what championship level teams do with DNA. I get it. But how are they winning games? I factored that in a lot, right? The 49ers lost 3 straight games. But did they record determine that was them? Like, you are what your record says you are. All right. That's a 3-loss team. They got to be bad, right? That's who they are. They lost 3 straight games. No, they just had a bad stretch. They had a bad stretch, right? Last year, the Minnesota Vikings.
Put that in context, bro.
Last year, the Minnesota Vikings. We only lost 4 games. Woohoo! Super Bowl. Let's ride. Right? Well, let me say it better than that. Let's ride. Right? 4 losses. You are what your record says you are. Really? That was a 4-loss team? Or was that the most fraudulent team in NFL history? You know what I'm saying?
No. And see, again, that's living in the now, bro. You don't know the
Yeah,
whole
let
craftsmanship
me
of
enjoy
NFL
my
shit.
moment, brother.
It's not
Let me live in
context.
my moment. Let me have
Yeah,
my moment, please. No interruptions on your tape.
yeah.
Let me flow,
Well,
and then
you
we
got to
could
say the
address
right thing.
everything, right?
You got to say
All
the right
right,
thing.
4-loss team. Super Bowl, no, fraudulent. They got bounced by the Giants, who was another fraudulent team, by the way. Look at them now. Okay, you are what your record says you are. Not always the case, right? Do the Browns look like a team that only lost how many games they lost? 4 or 5, right? You talk about Detroit real quickly. Forget the Browns. I don't want to talk about the Browns. You talk about Detroit. It was at one point where they only lost 2 games and won like 10 games. Okay, you are what your record says you are, but clearly that wasn't to you. Clearly, you was never on the hype train.
First
Clearly,
of
you
all,
never really thought that they were
but
legitimate
but
to
but
compete for a
but
championship.
I never said that. You are what your record say you are.
No, I get it. I'm addressing
Oh,
that take because people are looking at things in black and white. You are what your record
good,
says you are.
good.
That means the Lions should have been a team that should be, 10-2 and expanding upon that. Clearly, they're not. Clearly, they're not a championship team. Like how, yeah, maybe I did thought they was a threat, and I could own up to being wrong. Okay, fine. We all
Right.
have my bad days. I was wrong about that. But clearly, they're not what their record was at that time, right? Clearly. So my point being, when you come back
Mhm.
to this game, right, and we talk about the Eagles and the 49ers, the 49ers exposed them in ways because when you look at the running game, the last couple weeks, first of all, let's talk about the running game in this game, and then we'll address the last couple weeks. The Eagles had 7 carries and didn't have a touch from the end of the first quarter to the start of the third. And I understand the game was a blowout, but it wasn't a blowout the entirety of the game. At one point, the Eagles was right there. They had stopped the 49ers on the first 2 to 3 drives, right? So that's not a good stat to have. So I don't want you to hit me with, oh, they were getting blown out. No, it wasn't that. And even when you're down 14-0, right, you
Right.
can still run the football. You don't
Right.
have to abandon that. So clearly, they did not win the football. And we all know DeAndre Swift ranked 7th in the NFL with 4.7 yards per carry, but he just had 30 carries in the last 3 games in the Eagles games. The last 3 games, 30 carries, right? And this year he has 10 games with fewer rushing attempts than that, right? And it tells me that they are running the ball a lot with Jalen Hurts. Is Jalen Hurts run the ball, do something with it, and he's obviously going to be at risk for injury with that. When you talk about all the injuries happening to quarterbacks, when you run the ball, you lead the pocket. There's not a guarantee. We know that. Okay. Now, quick question: will Dexter Lawrence, will Michael Parsons be able to stop that running game? Like how the 49ers did, because they put Jalen Hurts in check. Jalen Hurts was not able to leave that pocket and do damage like how he was able to do so in other games.
Are you asking me
Now,
the question?
can the Cowboys do that same thing?
Are you asking me the question?
Now, it's just a question, just throw out
You're
there.
not asking me. Okay, got you.
Not asking you that yet, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing to look at. So yeah, a lot of it has to do with the team and the resources you do have. That matters. If you can't stop the running game, you can't stop the running game. If you can't stop Hurts, you can't stop Hurts. But the 49ers was able to do so. And they exposed them for being a little bit one-dimensional in ways. Like the Eagles was always a team that can win in multiple ways. But one thing they relied on was, all right, let's run the ball with Jalen Hurts. And the passing game has never really been consistent this year at all. Like when it's like, all right, every game, the passing game is intact. No, it hasn't been. So if you're able to stop Jalen Hurts, now you just force the Eagles to try to beat you with the passing game, and they haven't been in sync all year with the passing game. Another thing, they defense, who you criticize, you was like, they have a bad defense. Clearly they do. Debo, I mean, come on, they had no answers for the 49ers, who is a team they likely going to have to play to even get to a Super Bowl. Let's be fair here with that, right? Because they look like the best team to me in the NFL. Now, their defense is not great. Think about all these quarterbacks, right? Because we talk about losses and wins and all that. Yeah, they are a 2-loss team now. But think about it. Their defense has been giving up plays all year. And matter of fact, Mac Jones had his best game against them in week 1. Dak Prescott had his best game this season against them, even though he didn't win. Sam Howell had his best game against them, 400 yards of offense. Sam Howell, we talking about here, against them. Kirk Cousins put up 300 on them, okay? The 49ers had 6 straight touchdown drives against them. So when you talk about me, factor in my eyes. And I'm telling you last week that, yeah, they only have 1 loss, but my eyes is telling me they are not a 1-loss team. I shouldn't be criticized for that because that's what I see. I told everybody in the chat, right? You wasn't there, but I told Zay, I told Zach, the 49ers going to blow them out the water on Sunday. Watch. And guess what? Lostradamus in full effect.
Oh
So
wow, those are
the reason why I brought that real quickly,
Go ahead.
I'm about to end.
Go ahead.
I'm about
Go
to
ahead.
man.
Finish.
The reason why I brought that up, that the 49ers was going to destroy them, was because I took what I saw with my eyes
Got it.
on both sides. The 49ers
Got
playing
it.
their best ball. The
Uh-huh.
Eagles, find a way to win the
Right.
game, but it's not great. And I said, you know what? The 49ers are going to destroy them. And
Uh-huh.
guess what? It happened.
All right. That's great. What did your eyes tell you about Kansas City winning the Super Bowl last year?
My eyes told me that they were a good team.
You said 10 times we're going to win. What did your eyes say about Detroit this year?
What you said? Who I said was going to win?
You said Cincinnati was going to beat Kansas City last year. What did your eyes say?
Yeah, I did. I was wrong.
Yeah, well, clearly he's wrong. So your eyes ain't like great. What did
Yeah,
your
I
eyes
mean,
say
you
about
want to
Detroit
go
this year?
really deep into that because
What
they didn't get a lot of calls in that game,
What did your eyes say about Detroit this year?
Hold on. Let's go back to that
What did your eyes say
game.
about Detroit this year?
Let's go back to that game because the Bengals got penalized like 10 times for 84 yards.
You can say whatever you want to say.
I couldn't foreshadow them getting flagged that long.
Kansas
much.
City won the game.
Yeah, but what was the context?
I don't care what happened. I don't
They
care.
got flagged.
I don't care. They won the game. Raffle,
yeah, they did.
Done.
But my eye test can't foreshadow flags.
What did your eyes say about the Detroit Lions this year?
My eyes told me that they were a team that was a threat.
Yeah. What are they?
Yeah.
What are they?
Well, they still a threat.
Oh, okay.
They still a threat.
Okay.
I mean, look, they lost a couple games, but they still a threat.
For you. Last year, I said the LeBron James and Anthony Davis gonna make a run in the NBA playoffs. You got up and left the stream.
No,
they made a run. They went to the Western Conference Finals. So,
all right, but look,
again,
hold on. Context, real quickly here, because when I said Detroit was a threat, be fair, it's still off.
Yeah, because you told me
Jared Goff was not playing bad. That's what I'm saying. Context. I'm
gonna give you some context because when I mentioned San Francisco, you said this. Have you been watching football? The San Francisco team that just lost 3 games in a row. You don't want to go back to the video because that's exactly what you said when I said San Fran will go in there and beat Detroit. You said you haven't been watching football. San Francisco just lost 3 games in a row. That's your exact words. I'm quoting you right now.
Look, what I'm saying, right? Because I'm clearly right on the Eagles. I'm clearly right on the Eagles. I'm clearly right. I literally said what's going to happen.
So you said San Francisco just lost 3 games in a row and they can't beat Detroit. Because my eyes said San Fran can beat Detroit.
So time out. You never had to take wrong.
I'm not saying that. So I'm bringing.
So at the end of the day, we could talk. We could sit here and talk about all the takes that I had wrong with my eyes. Okay.
Because I want you to understand. Just because your eyes say something, don't not take that to the bank. Oh, I told everybody it's going to blow them out.
Guess what? That's what I'm taking to the bank. That's what I'm taking to the bank. My take. I'm not taking all these other cats and running to the bank with that. When you judge sports, but based on how you see the game.
And you making my point. Everybody can predict things, and everybody can be wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just to be fair, right? And I wanted to prove that point because as you throw me out points, I'm like, okay, that don't mean nothing to me. Now let's go down to facts. And facts is this. And I'm quoting you on facts. Last year, Eagles blew everybody out. They ain't beating nobody. This year, we beating teams that actually got good records. We can't blow out good teams every week. There's no team in the NFL history that can blow out good teams.
So what happened in this game against the 49ers? Okay. Why did y'all get smacked?
Okay. So again, and the reason why I brought up the 85 Bears, one of the greatest teams of all times, they got smacked on Monday Night Football. It happens. That's sports.
It happens. A game that both teams are looking forward to. You mean to tell me it happened? Did we not see? Come on. So it happens, right? Let me ask you a question.
Hold on a second. The 85 Bears historically was only giving up 12 points a game. Miami Dolphins scored 37 points on them on Monday Night Football. Yeah. That's one of the greatest defenses of all time. Let me ask you a question. It happens.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me ask you a quick question as time is running. Let me ask you this question. Because would you say that certain games on the schedule matters more and teams wake up for certain games? Right?
Yeah. Of course it does.
Yeah. And this was a game that I'm pretty with all the smack talking. This was a game that the Eagles were supposed to play their best. Hold up.
Okay, let's you want to break
because
it down?
It was back-to-back weeks that they had games where they had circled on their calendar. They had the Chiefs obviously circled on their calendar, right? And they won that game. We had
Dallas.
Right?
Before that, we had
Dallas too. You had Dallas. You had the Chiefs, and you had the 49ers. This was a game circle with all the trash talk. And the 49ers had a circle too. They should have played their best, and they got smacked.
Okay, but
why?
you're missing
Because
it.
clearly the
You're missing
49ers
but
are
you're
a better
missing it.
team, top to
But
bottom. They're a
see,
better team than the
you're-
Eagles are.
Okay, that's great. But you're missing it though, kid. I just finished saying that. It's difficult to play these teams back to back to back to back to back. Again, I'll challenge anybody, any team in the NFL to come up with a schedule that the way that we just had, back to back and still going, back to back to back to back. Before the season even started, every team that I'm about to name, people had, or so-called professionals had, an opportunity to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo,
and that's back to back. So what's going to happen in the playoffs when you have to win back to back to back? So you telling me that it's hard to win back to back to back, but it's not hard to win back to back to back in the playoffs?
You're not letting me finish. We just won 3 out of 4. And you add in Miami, we won 4 out of 5 against legitimate playoff teams. Yeah. Okay, you can lose one.
Yeah.
But you can't lose.
You can't lose one in the playoffs. So
okay,
this is a team that won back to back to back last year to get to the Super Bowl.
But that don't mean we're not capable.
And that doesn't mean y'all wasn't capable of turning in a better performance than y'all did against the Niners who ran circles around you.
Okay, no,
it was like night and day. Let's be fair. Let's be fair, Cuzzo. Let's be fair. Because even last year's NFC Championship game, the Eagles didn't even look great. And we all know what happened to the 49ers in their quarterback situation. And you came out and you almost gave Jalen Hurts a smoke in that game when we did that segment.
The thing. Their defense was much better last year.
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay, so that's my point. My point,
and that's my point too. That defense is not good this year. So that's why when you talk about who wins games, first of all, who wins games? Defense. Defense wins games.
No, not all the time. Not today's.
Not all the time. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Not all the time. But majority of the time, Cuzzo, it's hard, and especially in today's NFL. Listen, like I understand.
I
understand. Think about.
I'm not here to debate if the Eagles is better than San Fran. I'm not
here to debate that either. I'm not
here to debate if the Eagles are better than San Francisco. I'm not here to debate that they're the best team in the NFL. I'm not here to debate they're going to win the Super Bowl.
I'm not here to debate.
I am here to debate that that's a good football team, and I beg anybody a differ.
There's a good football team. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're a bad football team.
But you called the team a fraudulent team. And
I'm not saying they're a bad football team. But
if you call the team a fraudulent team, fraudulent is
no.
Fake is trash. Fake is garbage. That's just my like. You
see, I'll let you speak. I'll let you get your time. Definition. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I let you speak. You know what I'm saying? I did. Yeah. I just want to end here. This is my last point. Okay. I'm not saying the Eagles are a bad team. Never came out my mouth. Now, when you get to a Super Bowl and you almost win it, you probably should have won it, and you only lost one game prior to this game, we are expecting a little bit. The expectations are different compared to the Lions, right? Like I could call the Lions, okay team, right? Because they're the Lions, and they didn't do that last year. They wasn't in the playoffs last year. But the Eagles are a team that we hold to a higher standard. It's championship or bust. Question, Leel, do you feel that the Eagles are right up there as a favorites to make the Super Bowl? Yes or no? Do they records show you that? Yes or no? And what I've been saying is that I don't believe that Eagles team is getting back to the Super Bowl. That's the main premise of my take. Even though they only had one loss, and at the time they was the best record in the league, I don't see that team coming out.
Okay, this is how you answer the question. This is the best way to do it because you answered it the wrong way. You asked the question the wrong way. The question is, do you think the Eagles is going to get to the championship game?
The NFC Championship game?
Mm-hmm.
It's a possibility. Why? Why? No, it's a possibility. And it's not only to do with them. It's not only to do with them. I want to be clear.
You listen to the point, bro. Stop right there. If you think they got an opportunity to win a championship, to get to a championship game, then they have an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. And that's it.
They have an opportunity to get to a championship game. I don't see them beating the 49ers. Basically, it's point and blank as my statement it's going to make. Basically, this is what I see. This is what I see. Cousin, let me tell you what I see.
You never heard me came on my mouth.
Let me tell you what the prophet sees, okay? Let me tell you what Lil Shadama sees. I see.
No, don't tell me what you see because a lot of
I see the NFC Championship game being a two-team race, Eagles and 49ers. However, right? And I understand we could do the obvious here. Well, if you make the NFC Championship game, you can win the game. Yeah, duh. Yeah. You made it that far. You can win the game, right? Yeah. Absolutely. Anybody have an opportunity to win a game. It's one game, you win, you look good, you go home if you don't. It's not the NBA. We don't get 7 games. I get it.
Right.
That's obvious. But more than the obvious, right? When comparing apples to apples, if that happens, I see the 49ers winning that game. Why?
Where?
Because they showed me in this game that they are the better team. And I
Where?
see the Eagles with having holes. However, I don't see a lot of teams in the NFC right now that could define those holes and expose those holes. I don't see it. Like the Lions, I thought that was a team that maybe they have a home playoff game. And let's say, listen, they got a big game, the Eagles against the Cowboys. That could change a lot of things. If they lose that game to the Cowboys, who's playing hot.
Last year, Kansas City.
I already told you because
This
of what
dude's
I
the
was
best
going to say.
quarterback.
I already told you what I was going to say if y'all won this game. I was going to come back on the mic and I was going to give y'all respect and I was going to apologize. But clearly, I didn't need to.
Okay.
And look at the team, bro. Cousin, does this team even look remotely close? Come on, cousin. Just answer this one question. So we could
no, you need to answer this question. Do a team ever get blown out and win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, it happens. It happens. The Patriots, it happened to my Patriots. I remember we lost to the Saints on Monday Night Football 38-17, and we went on a deep playoff run. I don't even know if we won the championship that year. I don't even care. I'm trying to move off of that right now. I know we bounced back from that, right? Now, do this Eagles team, top to bottom, look remotely close to the product that they gave y'all last year?
According to you, we didn't look this good last year because we didn't play against competition. So I'm going to use this context.
See that?
Well, I have to do it this way. I got to do it this way.
Last year was nothing about the Eagles.
We was blowing everybody out. Like you said, we wasn't.
I'm talking about top to bottom roster. I'm not talking about who's around you, who you going to play. The Eagles and the Eagles. Last year versus this year. If last year's team played this year's team, how would this game turn out? If the Eagles of last year, even though that kind of don't make no sense, but you know what I'm saying. If the Eagles last year played the same team this year, how would it turn out? What would be the score?
What would be the score? I would say this about last year's team. Last year's team, from a defensive perspective, had more opportunity to stop teams because we were sacking the quarterback a lot more. We was getting to the quarterback faster. We're not getting to the quarterback as fast.
So what would happen?
And I don't know what would happen now. I can't tell you what would happen, but
yeah, I think I know what would happen.
Well, last year's team go through this brutal run like this.
And that's why last year, I called them fraudulent last year.
Well, I didn't think it was fraudulent because he's still playing NFL and only 32 teams and he's playing professionals. Yeah. It's hard to be a fraud. But at the end of the day, plus when you go through a playoff run and then
that's why you got starters and that's why you got backups. Everybody get paid differently.
Right.
Yeah, I understand they made the NFL, but you got backups and starters.
You can't be called a fraudulent when you go through a playoff run and then come 3 points to win in the Super Bowl. To me, that's just utterly ridiculous. Now, if you want to say Minnesota last year, you want to call them a fraud, that's fine because they did not prove and put their medal down when they have to put their medal down.
You have a backup quarterback or not even a backup quarterback. CMC, a running back that was taking snaps. I mean, come on.
Listen,
I called them last year. I called them fraudulent.
The Eagles won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback.
Look. The reason why I called the run fraudulent last year was because of the schedule. It had nothing to do with the Eagles team. Right. I think last year's Eagles team is better than this year's version of the Eagles team. Now, it's the opposite here. They playing tough schedules. They have the championship DNA that they learned, that they got from last year that's keeping them in games in the fourth quarter heroics. Okay. So you combine the championship DNA, you combine Hurts being clutch, you combine their ability to find ways to win games. That's their MO this year. However, the defense is not great. The running game is a little bit suspect. They're not sticking to it a lot. So that's why I'm saying from the eye test of this team, it's not better than last year's team, but they are beating teams on their schedule. They didn't beat the 49ers clearly, but that's one game, and that's a game that they probably gonna have to play in order to get back to the big game.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.